Hello everybody, Disciple here with Overwatch Curios. Support classes are often some of the hardest characters to design for pretty much any game developer. By nature, most people simply prefer to play a damage role because of the appeal of being the one getting all the kills and doing the most damage. With Overwatch, particularly as a first-person shooter, most people aren't going to invest in a shooter to sit around idly and heal others. So when it comes to creating a support, extra time needs to go in to make sure the gameplay is engaging and fun for the person playing the support. This ranges from their abilities, their weapons, and how they play, as well as their overall theme in their kits. A strong aesthetic and story to a character goes a long way towards selling people on playing a particularly less popular role. So in this video, we're going to take a look at probably Overwatch's favorite support to play, how exactly Blizzard encouraged the fanbase behind him, and even what he could have been from concept to completion. From the start of his design process, Lucio was always planned to be the roller skating DJ that we have in the game today. It's a really fun and unique experience for players and visually attractive. However, his vision has changed pretty drastically from the days of early concept to what we have as Lucio in the game today. The origin of Lucio's design traces back to the role of the Bard in role-playing games. Now, if you're not familiar with Dungeons & Dragons or any similar type of classic fantasy RPG, the Bard archetype plays an integral support role for his parties. Through the use of music, bards have a wide variety of tools to aid the party overall, with things such as increased healing, attack power boosts, and many more. The bard is a group support that drives the party and increases their success, all while being charismatic and generally fun to be around for those with him. It was from this class archetype that the Overwatch team was inspired to create Lucio, a support based around the usage of music and sound as a means of both attacking his enemies and supporting his allies. A sci-fi DJing bard. He's seen a lot of different concepts throughout the creation process though, as we can see in some of these early images that we were able to capture and share with you all during a recent trip to the Blizzard studios where we got to see the Overwatch Museum. Now the first on the left looks much like a younger character than the Lucio we have today. His sonic amplifier is much larger, requiring both hands to use, and the speakers that power the gun are attached to his shoulder pads. This particular character is heavily equipped, which differs pretty greatly from the small and simple clothing and armor that Lucio wears today. It's hard to envision this form of Lucio being able to move around quickly, so maybe this Lucio would have been a much more stationary support who primarily sat in the back lines providing support from afar as a sort of immobile AoE healer. Now the next concept gives off a very funky vibe aesthetically, and it's easy to see inspirations from the likes of Jet Set Radio in his character design. It's easy to visualize this character colored with lots of bright neon colors. He still has a two-handed sonic amplifier and wears a large coat with the speakers woven into the sleeves. Most importantly, we start to see a progression away from being heavily armored, likely due to the progression of story development and trying to really bring out that freedom fighter trope of Lucio, the hero who came up from the streets to help his people, and he starts to look more like a DJ than he does some sort of soldier. The last of the original concept sketches really calls back to the inspirations of Titan on Overwatch. Titan was a cancelled Blizzard project from which later became Overwatch. Titan itself had much grittier and darker aesthetic behind all of its original concept work though, and this concept really captures that same type of vibe. Physically, he resembles Junkrat, and it may even be possible that this concept became a reference point for the lunatic Junker down the road. Most importantly though, the gun here is one-handed and was definitely the first draft of the sonic amplifier that Lucio wields today in game. As work continued on Lucio, the designers wanted to give Lucio lots of lights and colors as he flashed around the battlefield. Another early concept features Lucio wearing two turntables on his hips, while the pants that he's wearing actually acted as visualizers that synced up with his music. The pants would light up and strobe as he played the music, and the sound level design on his pants actually changing in tandem. These pants would even change colors to correspond to whatever stance he had active at the time. Further into design, however, Blizzard decided to move away from this concept after realizing how visually distracting all of the lights and colors could be. Overwatch is a very colorful and flashy game with a lot of information being conveyed by color and lights, so the saturation of the extra colors was just too much to go through with in the end for not being a very distinct ability that you had to worry about as an enemy. In response, they began exploring other options, including Lucio wearing very little armor at all and just wearing street clothes. It It was at this point that the story of Lucio was completely fleshed out, so it was important for the team to really convey how Lucio was just a normal person who rose to the occasion in honor of his family, friends, and city against the threat of the Vishkar Corporation. Designers loved this approach, and suddenly Lucio was nearly complete. They went on to make a few minor tweaks to this concept, in turn giving him the leg armor and visor that Lucio wears today, as they felt it would make him feel more heroic and connect with the story of him rising to power. While the art and design team had finally nailed down what exactly Lucio would be after testing out plenty of different options for his character, there was still the matter of cementing his gameplay and abilities within the game itself. In one of Lucio's earlier forms, he had an ultimate ability that is just crazy to think about today. This early form of his ultimate would scale time for everyone in the game except for Lucio himself, effectively slowing everyone down, including his own team, for its duration. He could basically freeze everyone in the game at the same time. Meanwhile, Lucio was free to run around the map at his normal speed and continue doing his own thing. Now, the concept of supports being able to really get in there and deal damage is pretty difficult to balance, as has been demonstrated by the newest Mercy rework, but the developers actually found out the worst part of it was just how unfun it could be for everyone else in the match. Obviously, a powerful offensive tool with no way to avoid it, it's hard to play against this form of Lucio's ult. But Jeff Kaplan says one of the worst parts of this ability was its impact on his own team. For example, having just respawned and having your Lucio use his ultimate would make your trip back to the objective much longer and was both punishing and just flat out unfun to play with. In response, they still wanted an ultimate design that would really capture the spirit of this control over sound, but instead would support his team in a powerful way instead of being potentially harmful to both teams. Lucio's sound barrier became the option further into design, and with it an iconic ability with a visually satisfying application and animation was born. This new ultimate would remove the unfun mechanic of slowing down time for everyone, while also boosting his support capabilities for his team. And on top of that, it provides aspects of counterplay. There's both ways for Lucio to use his ultimate to negate big abilities from the enemy team, while also allowing enemy teams an option to play around the sound barrier either by saving ultimates or creating space between enemy teams during the effect of the ability itself. From an armored young boy to a sci-fi funkadelic groover and even a roller skating disco ball lighting up the game, Lucio has seen some of the most varied and diverse concepts throughout all of his creation process. The vastly different avenues of character art explored provided a channel of information for the developers to really evaluate who and what they wanted Lucio to be. With each new concept, good ideas were taken and some were left behind as they continually chiseled away. And while he may have had one of the most overpowered ultimate abilities ever at one point in time, this is how Lucio became what he is today. One of the Overwatch community's favorites and most unique support heroes, and a staple of competitive play. Boasting the highest representation in tournament play throughout the entire timeline of Overwatch, Lucio is and will continue to be a staple of the game for years to come. Now, if you guys enjoyed this video, I would love it if you could subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, so that way you can keep up to date on all of our future content. And if you don't subscribe, well, I love you anyway. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.